Hey, welcome to show number 7, Having Success. Christ Master Plan. Leaders following their God-given mandate, model, and mission. All right, well, I'm so glad you can join us for our show number 7, and our topic is having success in your ministry, in your God-given ministry. And this is the beginning of a new year, and hopefully last year you had a good year. Hopefully it was a blessed year. Well, God's desire is for us to have success this coming year. And how can we have success in our God-given ministry? So that's our topic today. And I have a few tips that will help us to have success. And these tips are for all of us. It includes me. It includes all Christian leaders. I believe these tips will help all of us have success in our God-given ministry. All right, well, the first tip is to have a strong walk with God. You know, Mark 12:30 says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength. God's desire is for us to love him with all our hearts. And the question is, how can we do that? And maybe you have a strong walk with God. That's awesome. Well, if you don't have a strong walk with God, what does God want you to do to strengthen that walk with him so that it's vibrant and active and it's the most important thing in your life? So that's tip number 1, have a strong walk with God. Well, tip number 2 is personal priorities are in order. So we all have priorities, whether it's like God, family, responsibility, occupation, school, hobbies, interests, sports. We all have priorities, and the priorities are going to be different for each one of us depending on our life, right? So I know at the beginning of every year, I sit down and I have what I call a vision seeking time. And that's where I go, God, what is my purpose? So that's the first question I ask God. The second question I ask God is, God, what are those key things you want me to do to accomplish my purpose? And then the third thing I ask God, God, what are the practical goals for each one of the key things you want me to do? And so doing those goals will help me to do the key things. And when I do the key things, I'll ultimately achieve God's purpose for my life this coming year. So I call that vision seeking. And so I don't know, each person is different. But you ultimately need to go to God. God, what is my purpose? What are my priorities? And how can I accomplish my purpose and live out the priorities that you want me to do? All right, so that's tip number 2, is have your personal priorities in order. All right, tip number 3 is know your God-given mission and strategy. And that's what we do a lot around here at Christ Master Plan, is help people know what their mission is and their strategy. But ultimately, you need to go to God and go, God, what is my mission? What is my mission? My spiritual mission. And the second thing is, God, what is the strategy you want me to use to accomplish the mission that you have given me? So that's tip number 3 for having success. Tip number 4 is stay focused in your walk with God, in your priorities, living out your priorities, and with your God-given mission. And this is essential. Staying focused and doing what God wants us to do. And I think from my experience in encouraging Christian leaders, this is the number 1 thing, staying focused, because God gives leaders a purpose and a strategy, right? And a mission. But the thing is, staying focused, staying on track, living out the plans that God has for you. And I think that's the key, is staying on track with what God wants you to do. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 5 is be an accountability group. And if there's one thing that has helped me, and that's being accountable to other people. So what I encourage all Christian leaders to do is have an accountability group. Have a group of like-minded people that will help each other live out the plans that God has given them. And by accountability, I don't mean that these people force you to do something you don't want to do, but accountability is telling the people in your group or telling your group of friends, this is what God wants me to do. And then your friends just asking you on a regular basis, how are you doing at accomplishing what God wants you to do? And it really is important because having that group is so encouraging. And also being a part of a group like that, you encourage others. So those are the 5 tips that I have that I believe will help each one of us this coming year have success in our God-given ministry. So tip number 1, have a strong walk with God. Tip number 2 is have your priorities in order. Tip number 3 is know your God-given mission and strategy. Tip number 4 is stay focused in your walk with God, in your priorities, living out your priorities, and with your God-given mission. And tip number 5 is be an accountability group that helps you to stay on top of what God wants you to do. Well, the conclusion is, how are you doing? How are you doing at doing these things that we just talked about? How are you doing? Are you having success or not having success? So if you're not having success, we're here to help. And we have accountability groups that help people stay on track with their God-given mission and their strategy. All right. So please contact us, and we'd love to help you out. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show. And I know I'm looking forward to following the tips that I just shared, and hopefully you are too, because I believe that they will help you as you strive to have success in your God-given ministry. All right. Well, have a great day and look forward to seeing you at the next show. Also, please leave a comment below. All right. And so I look forward to hearing what you have to say. All right. Have a great day. Bye. Now it's time to go and follow our mandate, motto, and mission.